Aquí está el tío Julio. El tío Julio va a visitar a su familia. Esta es la ciudad donde vive la familia. En esta casa vive la familia del tío Julio. La familia se llama Romero. Este chico se llama Miguel. Es Miguel Romero. Miguel está estudiando. Está estudiando en su cuarto. A Miguel le gusta estudiar. Esta chica se llama Teresa. Es Teresa Romero. Teresa es la hermana de Miguel. Teresa está tocando el piano. A Teresa le gusta tocar el piano. Este es el señor Romero. El señor Romero es el padre de Miguel y Teresa. El señor Romero está leyendo su periódico. Está leyendo en su sillón. La señora Romero es la madre. La señora Romero está preparando la comida.
Oye, llaman a la puerta. Oye, llaman a la puerta.
Tío Julio.
Tío Julio, qué sorpresa. ¿Cómo estás? Ay, tío Julio, ¿cómo estás?
Tío Julio, qué sorpresa. ¿Cómo estás?
Estoy muy bien, gracias. Aquí está un regalo.
¡Qué perico tan bonito!
Sí, sí, un perico magnífico.
Ahora todos están a la mesa para la comida. ¿Cómo se llama el perico? ¿Les gusta el nombre José?
¿Les gusta el nombre César?
¿Les gusta Pedrito?
Sí, sí, Pedrito, eso es.
Eso es. Pedrito, Pedrito.
Ahora el perico tiene un nombre. Se llama Pedrito.
Pedrito.
Todos los días Miguel y Teresa hablan con Pedrito.
Buenos días, Pedrito.
Buenos días, Pedrito.
Buenas tardes, Pedrito.
Buenas tardes, Pedrito.
A todos les gusta Pedrito.
¿Te gusta aquí, Pedrito?
Me gusta.
A Pedrito le gusta toda la familia. Le gusta ir por toda la casa. Pedrito mira bajo el sillón del padre. Pedrito va al cuarto de Teresa. Mira dentro del piano. Pedrito va al cuarto de Miguel. Allí mira todos los libros. Esta mañana la señora Romero está trabajando. Está trabajando en la casa. La señora abre la ventana. La ventana está abierta. Pedrito está en su jaula. Pedrito abre la puerta de su jaula. Pedrito sale de su jaula y se escapa. Se escapa por la ventana abierta. Un circo está pasando ahora. ¿Qué le va a pasar a Pedrito? Pobre Pedrito.
¡Ay! ¿Dónde está Pedrito? Miguel, Teresa, ¿dónde está Pedrito?
Toda la familia busca a Pedrito. El padre busca bajo su sillón. Teresa busca dentro de su piano. Miguel busca en su cuarto. Pero el Perico no está. Pedrito no está en toda la casa. Ahora Miguel no quiere estudiar. Está muy triste. Teresa está muy triste también. Ahora ella no quiere tocar el piano. Esta tarde el señor Romero está leyendo.
Hay un circo en la ciudad. Miguel, Teresa y Julio quieren ir al circo.
Esta noche los tres van al circo. Miren ustedes los volatines, son estupendos. Miren los payasos, son muy cómicos. Y los tigres son feroces.
Señoras y señores, ahora presentamos a Manolo el Magnífico.
Manolo el Magnífico es muy famoso. Tiene un sombrero y sale una liebre. Estupendo, bravo, bravísimo. Manolo tiene un bastón y pronto flores. Fantástico, bravo, bravísimo.
Adiós, adiós, gracias.
Pero, ¿es posible? ¿Es Pedrito?
Sí, es Pedrito. Vamos a buscar a Pedrito.
Los tres van a buscar a Pedrito.
¿Dónde está mi Perico, señor Manolo?
Pues, busquen.
El tío Julio busca dentro del cajón. Teresa busca bajo el sombrero. Miguel busca detrás de la puerta. Pedrito no está.
¿No miran ustedes el Perico? Pues, hasta la vista. Adiós.
Hasta la vista. Hasta la vista. Adiós. Hasta la vista. Adiós. Hasta la vista. Adiós. Hasta la vista. Adiós. Hasta la vista. Adiós.
Hola amigos, ¿Cómo está? Wow, that was phenomenal. That magician looked evil. I mean, really, his eyebrows were doing like this. That's evil. And the El Perico. Anyways, that's part of a series we've digitized for the Academic Film Archive of North America. And this next film is also from that collection. And this is part of this series of films that I've been showing that were part of the Yellow Ball animation series. And this one is awesome. Again, like yesterday's, this one's Journey in Time. Enjoy.
See my time machine?
Can we try it?
Yes, sure. Stay there.
Okay.
Hey, where are we now?
Look at how big those things are. Look at that. Look at that. Hey, where are we going?
Hey, look at that bird. I think that might have Cleopatra on it.
Yeah, it is. It must be in Egypt. Uh-oh, where are we?
Hey, we're in Greece, I think.
Look, a flying horse.
Look at that. That's flying people.
Yeah, maybe they were from mythology. Uh-oh. Back, back, back. Back. Uh-oh, where we go? There's a knight in shining armor. the future. Watch out!
Wow, that was phenomenal. The Foley work, especially. I only wish that they had recorded a little bit better, had the mics placed a little bit better, because the animation, while it was made by kids, was still so good, so good. And I was like 11 when this came out, so my brain was totally thinking about stuff like this and doing stuff like this. So it's pretty amazing. Okay, let's shift gears a little bit. And so the Air Force, United States Air Force, did a informational series called Air Force Now, where they were basically, I don't know if they were releasing this for television or just general usage, but this was their way to get people excited about the Air Force and about enlisting in the Air Force. So here's an episode of Air Force Now, courtesy of the National Archives. Enjoy.
Radios and IFF off, codes moved before leaving aircraft check completed. Hi, I'm Captain Kathy Lasas, a 141 pilot at Norton Air Force Base, and I'm your hostess for this issue of Air Force Now. This is one way the Air Force has to get you to a hospital for emergency or even routine treatment. But what happens if the treatment you need is at a hospital halfway across the country? Well, the Air Force has a way of getting you there, too.
Paris, 1870. The Prussians and French are engaged in a fierce, bloody battle. Amid the turmoil, the French launched 66 balloons, sending 160 sick and wounded to safety. This was the beginning. Since the early days of manned flight, military doctors have fought for an effective aeromedical evacuation system. And things have come a long way. Today, the C-9 Nightingale is the primary aircraft for airlifting patients throughout the world. But its story doesn't begin on a runway or in the air. It begins when a military member or dependent or retiree needs specialized medical care. Since it's impractical to have every type of specialist at every medical facility, The Air Force has established 6 regional medical centers with top-notch specialists at each one. The 375th Aeromedical Airlift Wing, Scott Air Force Base, has European and Pacific-based squadrons which move patients by C-9 to staging facilities where MAC C-141s bring them back to the States. All activity is monitored by the Wing's Patient Airlift Center at Scott.
The routine movement of patients in the United States begins with a phone call from the originating hospital to the patient reporting section. The patient information that is received is then transferred to one of the 6 patient status boards located in the Aeromedical Evacuation Control Center. The Medical Service Corps duty officer accomplishes the mission planning for the next day's mission based upon the information that is contained on these 6 status boards. After this is accomplished, the flight itineraries are given to the flight clinical coordinator, a qualified flight nurse, who reviews the itineraries for any special patient requirement or medical restrictions.
The C-9 is the only airplane ever designed specifically for aeromedical evacuation. It can carry 30 to 40 stretcher patients, more than 40 ambulatory patients, or a combination of both, together with 2 specially trained flight nurses and 3 aeromedical technicians. Most of the patients are ambulatory, and many times they're permitted to have a family member accompany them to their destination hospital.
The mission, as today, starts off to Fort Leonard Wood Army Airfield. From Forney, we're going to go on into Kansas City, one of the bigger international airports. From there through Salina, Kansas, on out towards Buckley, Denver, Colorado area. And from there back on up through Offutt, down to Forbes Air Force Base, and then into Fort Leonard Wood again for the second time in the afternoon, and then back into Scott. That'll be the full mission. And it's going to take us approximately 14 hours from the time we start our briefing until the time we land to complete this mission.
Probably one of the major problems I have with the patients that we carry on board the 9 is the fact that they are afraid of flying. And many times the disease process or the injury that they have to their body is second most in their mind. They're more concerned with whether they're going to get from point A to point B safely and comfortably. I believe all members of the AirVac system do look at each patient as an individual person to be taken care of as best as possible. The crew never seems to be too tired to make an extra effort for the patient that we're carrying or their family.
Today on the mission, we have been briefed that we will have some patients that have difficulties with hypertension, and thus I will be monitoring their blood pressure and pulse and respiration throughout the flight to make sure that they are not being harmed in any way by our patient movement procedures.
We like to feel that the care that the patients receive while they're on the aircraft is comparable to the treatment that they receive while they're in a fixed medical facility. We have the necessary equipment on board to care for these patients. We like to feel that the patients are patients and they receive the best possible treatment and care that can be offered.
The ability to be able to move somebody on an urgent mission, such as a heart problem or a burn victim or a small baby, and be able to save their life because of the medium of air transportation, has really given me a lot of joy and probably a lot of satisfaction, a lot more than I've ever received than anything else I've done in my career since I've been in the Air Force.
Aeromedical evacuation has come a long way since its inception during the early days of flight. Today, within a matter of hours, the C-9 can deliver a patient to some of the best medical facilities available anywhere. Another example of the Air Force taking care of its own.
This cold front will be passing through Southern California in the next 18 hours with improving conditions thereafter.
Thank you. A weather briefing is one of the most important things a crew needs before departing on a mission. The information we obtain here helps us to determine a safe route of flight and tells us what to expect along each leg of our flight and at our destination. Our next story is about people who also forecast the weather. Only the guys you'll be seeing don't work in a place like this. Their office can be just about anywhere.
Once you leave the aircraft, especially when the chute pulls off your back and
you get the opening shock of it opening, and you look up. It's a beautiful sight to see a canopy above your head, because then it's the worst part's over. Landing is, takeoffs are optional, but landings are mandatory.
We're what is known as the Unconventional Warfare Weather Team. We support the airborne forces in Europe, and our primary mission is to provide 2nd Weather Wing the capability of deploying personnel into any part of the EUCOM theater, if necessary, by means of parachute. I'm Captain Will Higley. This is Sergeant Butch Roberts, Sergeant Jerry Rugg. We're assigned to OLC 7th Weather Squadron at Bad Tölz, Germany. Right now, there are only 3 units in Air Weather Service that have parachute-qualified people.
We provide forecast support for airborne operations, for flights, specialized support to the commander that he may need for planning purposes, services which range from observations on the local Army airfield to climatology data for particular team missions that a Special Forces team may be going on, climatic surveys for some of the mountainous areas here for exercises that are being planned, and then we have specialized teams which require a very unique form of data, and we try to assimilate all this into a digestible form for the Special Forces personnel, something that's not totally couched in the terms of a meteorologist or a weatherman, but something that the average military person can understand and utilize in a specialty.
Once we are on the ground, depending on what mission you're tasked to do, if you're one of the first people in, you may be tasked to set up the DZ, the drop zone itself, by putting up a balloon to catch an effective wind and effective drift, so you can put the panels where the aircraft will fly and release over. If you're just on a long-term exercise type thing, and once in the field, you become a part of the unit that you're supporting, whether it be the Army Special Forces or a different Army unit, whether it be back in the States with the 82nd Airborne Division, or up in northern Germany with an Armored Division. You become part of that unit as a functional part. You'll take the observations, you support the headquarters, you support the people that need the weather, and at the same time you're expected to pull your own weight around the camp.
When they're inserted into the field with the team, they will not come out of the field until that team comes out of the field, completing their mission. So aside from doing their normal duties of getting the weather, in addition, they have to survive with that team in the field. If that team goes on combat missions, they're going to have to be able to defend themselves with that team. They're going to have to be integrated fully with that team in whatever they do. And for this, of course, this requires a little extra of the man than what would normally be required from a weather observer.
We expect that anyone attached to a Special Forces unit, to include the Air Force weather team, to be able to do anything physically that we can do. If we took someone along on a mission or committed someone into an operational area, they could not physically stay with the team, then they would jeopardize the mission that they're committed to. And I think I can say for the team here, they work just as hard as we do at staying ready to go.
I spend a considerable amount of time jogging and in PT because other than personally enjoying it, it gives me a chance to get out, see quite a bit of the countryside. We've got trails that wind in and out of the forest areas, villages that look like something out of a postcard, out of picture books. Tremendously beautiful area. In addition to enjoying the running and to using it as a mental cleansing function, it leads into the PT program that we have here to maintain our ability to deploy with the Special Forces and to maintain our general physical condition so that we are capable of worldwide deployment.
They support us on our drops. They're always ready whenever we need them.
The C-141 has been the workhorse of MAC for over a decade now, and it has proven itself to be one of the safest, most reliable aircraft the Air Force has ever had. But before it was accepted into the inventory, it went through a period of extensive testing at Edwards Air Force Base, California. Through the years, Edwards has seen most of the planes that have made it into Air Force service, and many that haven't. We'd like to take you back now a short step in history to when Edwards was mostly blowing sand and empty desert.
It was 1910 when the Coram family first settled this vast, desolate area of California. Located near Rodriguez Dry Lake, it was so isolated that early homesteaders like the Corams were given special consideration by the government just to get them to move here. The Corams called this settlement Muroc, a reverse spelling of the Coram family name. From this, a community began to grow. The flat, dry lake beds surrounding Muroc were ideal for auto racing, and some of the earliest speed trials were held there. In 1933, the Army Air Corps Bombing and Gunnery Range was established at what was then called Muroc Field. Soon after, Colonel Hap Arnold, commander at Marchfield, California, sent his planes here for maneuvers. On May 11, 1937, the entire Army Air Corps, 200 planes strong, participated in war games at Muroc Field. The U.S. had entered World War II. The Muroc Maru, a mock Japanese cruiser, was built to prepare crews for anti-shipping raids. Meanwhile, preparations were being made for the flight of our first jet, the XP-59, which took place on October 1st, 1942. The jet age had begun. In 1947, Captain Chuck Yeager broke the sound barrier in the Bell X-1 rocket plane.
1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, rock. 9...
Yeah, I'm gonna mute that Bill Haley, although there's probably other copyrighted stuff that has been showing up.
It was renamed Edwards Air Force Base. In 1951, the Test Pilot School and the Air Force Flight Test Center were established.
When the chimes ring 5, 6, and 7, we'll be...
Edwards has 350 days a year flying weather, and the 65 square miles of surrounding lake bed provide natural landing fields for experimental aircraft and those with in-flight emergencies. In addition, its 307,000 acres provide space for a variety of test-related functions, including sled tests, designed to evaluate various aircraft components and ejection systems. Series, a long line of research vehicles, among them the X-15.
Now they're playing the Beatles, so I'm definitely muting it.
Even the Army's aviation engineering flight activity gets involved with some of its new and modified aircraft. Taking the easy way out. The XB-70 triple sonic bomber was one of the major test programs at Edwards. Another test was the YF-12, forerunner of the SR-71. The swing-wing F-111 with its terrain-following feature. And the C-5. Air Force Rocket Propulsion Laboratory at Edwards develops and tests new and modified systems and frequently works with NASA and other federal agencies. The 70s have seen
Now it's the Bee Gees.
advances in close air support aircraft like the A-10. And sophisticated high-performance fighter aircraft. B-1 testing, which will benefit new bomber studies, and the Space Shuttle, which will provide the nation with a series of reusable space vehicles. Edwards Air Force Base, witnessing flight from its earliest days and playing a major role in the development of air power. These advances were the result of the courage, vision, and ingenuity of its men and women, qualities which will one day make space travel in ships like these a reality.
That's Miko, of course. So that's the problem with a lot of government-produced films is YouTube very quickly points out that no, that's commercial music, and they will sometimes remove it. Sometimes they will just take over the monetization. Sometimes they will. This hasn't happened recently, but sometimes they'll give a copyright strike. So that's why I was being a little cautious there. Which is frustrating because there was some great stuff in there, and the fact that they used Bill Haley's "Rock Around the Clock," and there was one before that which I can't remember, but then the Bee Gees, the Beatles, "Day Tripper," then the Bee Gees, and then Miko's Star Wars theme. I don't know if they had like a needle drop thing where they could use like publishing, like this, music publishing, or they just didn't care. My feeling is they just didn't care. There's a lot of filmmakers who, in that time period, who were just like, whatever. And there wasn't like a consolidated way to track that. Like, maybe if it had showed in a feature film and it got lots of, hundreds of thousands, millions of eyes on it, maybe that's the case. But for stuff like this, probably not so much. All right. Anyways, more information about copyright. It was a public domain day 2 days ago, and lots of great stuff fell into public domain. I did not celebrate it because this is what happens related to copyright. When I say, ooh, this film is in public domain, I show it, and immediately YouTube takes it down because even though it is legally in public domain, YouTube has not recognized that yet. And there are content ID people who have uploaded stuff and claimed copyrights, and that has not been updated. So I was like, we won't celebrate that. But we show a lot of public domain stuff. So the one great thing about Public Domain Day is it allows people to look back to the 20s and then watch things they probably wouldn't have watched, or listen to things they probably wouldn't have listened to. So, and then I guess, whenever there's a popular character that falls into public domain, then a not so great horror movie comes out about 6 months later. So there you go. All right. So this next film, excuse me. This is a fascinating film made by the New York Times, and it documents when the New York Times went from lead type and the typesetting equipment used to make it to using electronics, using computers to publish. And it's fascinating. And so it documents the whole process. And also, the title is interesting. It's Farewell, Etaoin, Shrdlu. And those letters are the frequency of letters in the English language. So if you're ever playing Wheel of Fortune, I always rely on those I'd guess those letters first. Anyhow, here it is. Enjoy.
We are fast approaching press time for the first edition of tomorrow morning's paper. This printer has just finished makeup of a page. In the next 56 minutes, all pages must be finished and recorded to meet the edition deadline of 9 p.m. But tonight's deadline is special. This New York Times mirror image in lead of tomorrow's dateline reads backwards as Sunday, July 2nd, 1978. It marks the last day of an age-old method of printing in this composing room. What you are now witnessing will exist after tonight only as a filmed historic record, for the century of the linotype machine is nearing its end. Using 535-degree molten lead, it sets solid lines of type called hot type, cast in newspaper column widths. Now cooled, a printer's hands prepare the lines for insertion into a column of the page. Headlines are still set by hand with type stored in traditional California cases and in time-worn Ludlow cabinets. By morning, relics of the past. Letter by letter, the printer forms the words in his composing stick in the same way that Gutenberg, the first printer of the Western world, did more than 5 centuries ago. Brass molds of letters are assembled in a different composing stick, also for headlines. Inside this Ludlow machine, which was invented a quarter of a century after the linotype, they will be cast from liquid lead to form a solid slug of type. By tomorrow, this Ludlow, too, will be a museum piece. These steel tables for page makeup are called printer's stones. They have been gradually abandoned over the past months. A radical changeover has taken place. For a new era of computerized, electronic, automated, and cold-type photo technology has begun. It started in the brightly lit area beyond these 2 dark hulks of discarded linotype machines. Now lined up for shipment, they have been the old reliables here for decades. Tonight, 60 of the once 140 linotypes, the largest battery of any newspaper in the world, are on their final stint. Before the rush to edition time, a makeup man spoke to us about this machine.
You know, 100 years ago, a man named Ottmar Mergenthaler invented a machine called a linotype. Now, it's not a machine that's well known by most people, but I find that it was the automation of its day. The only thing is, I think it was the machine that made mass education possible. It brought the price of books within the range of the average working person. This is the machine over here, and it's practically unchanged in 100 years. I feel if old man Mergenthaler came back, he could probably go over to that machine, sit down and set up a couple of galleys of type without any problems at all. If there were any problems as far as fixing the machine, I'm sure he could get up and fix it. But that's how long that machine has lasted, 100 years.
all begins with this machine. Really, 3 machines in one. Assembly, casting, and redistribution. In this portion of the machine, we keep these brass mattresses, which have a letter punched into their edge. In this case, the letter M. When I press a key, these mattresses will fall along this gravity chute and into the assembler. If I press this M, you'll see that M come down. There it is. Now, when I want to space a word, I'll drop in a space band, which is a steel wedge. It slides up and down and spreads the line to the exact size that I want in a column, so that every line is exactly equal to the other in width. When we send a line into the casting machine, this is what happens. If we take these mattresses, they'll come down and face against this steel mold. Hot metal, molten lead, will be poured into that steel mold. This mattress will be faced against here with the mold of the mattress against the top. The lead will harden and pick up the image from the inside of this mold and this mattress. It will turn around through here, it will harden, it will be trimmed, and it will be ejected right here. Now let's watch a line go in. This one's just about ready. It's going across now. The bands are spreading the line out now. The line is being pumped in. The hot lead is hardening now. It's being trimmed. And here's your new line of type.
But the real machine is in the back. It was a watchmaker who invented it. This uniquely shaped, eccentric cam is the heart of his entire system. As it rotates, it programs all the intricate operations of this automatic producer of type for the composing of the paper. It makes the linotype machine run like a huge wound-up clock, ticking with perfect precision.
In the meantime, these mattresses have been redistributed and transferred into those magazines, and we can use them again and again. This story is about finished now. We can take it over to the bank, get a galley proof, send it into the proofroom for proofreading, and when we're finished with that, we'll take the type and put it either on a correction bank or maybe directly into the page and wait for the corrections.
These latest machines, without keyboards, have built-in teletypesetter units. Instead of fingers on keys, perforated tape does the work, like the old music roll in a player piano. This enables one person to monitor 3 machines at once. A solid bar, or pig of lead, is lowered into the melting pot to refill it for casting. Sign language is used among the paper's many deaf printers. Instead of 3 lines a minute, the old manual way, each machine now sets 14 lines a minute. It's as far as mechanical automation could go in the pre-electronic age. Lines of type and picture cuts are made up into full-page forms, guided by editors' layout sheets.
Where does this thing go?
Oh, they got the wrong, that should be 8 and a half.
All right, look. You want to make a box out of it?
Yeah, stick it up in here somewhere.
We all done here? Yeah, that was all I got. You want to push it around? Or do you want to end here?
Stick the box down here.
You want to make a box out of it and then turn this?
The closest cooperation is needed between the page editor and the makeup.
I got it turn. I got to get it back there.
Together, they almost talk the type into the page form, coax it, cajole it, to make it fit as they work against the clock.
Pull a line back on price. Okay.
Everyone is aware of the time.
I know if I let this page go.
Only 40 minutes are left to the 9 o'clock first edition deadline.
Anything else, Barbara, here?
From now on, a page a minute, 40 more pages must be completed. Locked up in these page forms and readied for the presses. Metal engravings like these cut down to size and precisely trimmed. The cuts will print up as the drawings and photos you see in the paper every day. The handling of type and cuts is the job of the makeup man, while the page editor indicates to him what she wants. Reading the type upside down and backwards, he sees a reverse image of what will be the final printed page, and may even catch an overlooked error.
That's not going to look as bad as I thought. We'll let it go for a minute. And these two are coming aside. What does this say? There are many...
Moaning and pain. Others, you had others in there.
Oh, others with an S. Yeah, they had an S.
And what you do? Give it out again. That's a bad S.
It's a bad S?
Only 14 minutes to go. Everyone feels the urgency. Pages are nearing completion. Makeups tighten keys to bring type and cuts closely together. This keeps pieces from falling out when forms are moved off the stones. This page is about done.
This one's going to say rescue workers
milling
around an ice cream truck after, and then it's going to say it exploded in Lower Manhattan yesterday.
Almost finished.
All we need is this one.
The editor sends this one on its way. The presses are waiting. Trucks, trains, and planes must be met to rush the paper to the city, to the country, and to the world. Now this one is on its way. And the last one to close is page 1.
Okay, on one.
On time. And now a work break, and also a party for old-time linotype operator Albert Tangway.
Over 49 years being a member of the composer room, a senior member on the priority list. The #1 man on the priority list.
How do you feel about this changeover, Mr. Tangway?
Well, I feel that they call it progress, but as far as I'm concerned, it is not. I would like it to stay the way it was, you know? Keep the old machine running.
How long have you worked here?
One short of 49 years.
How old are you?
75 and a half.
75 and a half. Are you retiring tonight?
Yeah.
This is the last time you'll be up here? Let's have a drink on it.
I'm glad I had so many good friends on it.
This worker chalks up his sentiments. End of an era. Good while it lasted. Crying won't help.
I find it very sad, very sad. I've learned the new stuff, the new processes and all, but I've been a printer now for 26 years. I've been in this place for 20 years. 6 years apprenticeship, 20 years journeyman. And these are words that aren't just tossed around. They've always meant something to us printers. I hate to see it. It's inevitable that we're going to go into computers. All the knowledge I've acquired over these 26 years is all locked up in a little box now called a computer. And I think probably most jobs are going to end up the same way.
Computers are a good idea in general?
Oh, there's no doubt about it. They're going to benefit everybody eventually. How long it will take, I don't know.
Carefully, back on the stone, were changes by the news department for the late city edition. A galley of new type for a late-breaking story is proofed up to be read for accuracy. Corrections are checked. Lines with errors are replaced by corrected lines.
Okay, on one.
And page 1 is ready to go again for the new deadline, 11 p.m. This time we follow it to the making of a stereotype mat.
Thank you.
The mat is a damp sheet of flexible cardboard. A solid steel roller will press it against the hundreds of separate lines and picture cuts locked together in this page form. 5 minutes to the 11 o'clock deadline. The stereotyper taps down a spacing lead so that it won't print. The mat will soon be curved and dried into a half-cylinder form. From it, curved, solid lead plates will be cast to fit on the rotary presses. The pressure of 1 ton per square inch is forced upon the cardboard. The raised lead type presses into the mat, forming a mold of recessed letters. The mat is now right reading and ready for casting. All right. Down into the stereo casting room, 3 stories below street level in the Times building. Hot lead will now pour into the recessed impressions of type in this curved mat. Casting starts. These mammoth machines are up for sale. Some will go under the hammer at auction. A few will be cannibalized for spare parts. Nine identical page plates to run on 9 presses at the same time are cooled in these steel chambers before rolling into the press room.
When is this operation gonna close up?
It's going to close up in the morning.
How do you feel about it?
Another innovation, a new process we're moving into.
How do you feel about it? When I think of these machines costing over $100,000 a piece to be chunked, it kind of leaves me loose. You know, this is as far as they could go, though. As far as the automation with the hot metal, this is as far as the times could go. What is it going to mean to you personally? It means I'll have to learn a new process.
One after another, into the press room. Warning bells ring when the presses start up.
Page 1 sports.
These heavy plates, on their snaking and crisscrossing tracks, are making their final run to the 9 presses tonight. Will the new technology, just a few hours away, make a big change down here? A pressman shrugs it off.
Instead of using lead 40-pound plates and locking them up, instead of using these lead plates, what we do is use a plastic plate that only weighs a few ounces, and it just goes on a cylinder. There's a magnetic bar that holds it on. So you just get the hang of putting it on, that's all. The rest of the job won't change significantly.
Page 1 main.
Cheering greets the last time that a 40-pound half-cylinder plate of lead will ever again be mounted on these presses. Scrap from the previous press run is cleared from the conveyor. They carry the finished papers up to the street level above. Now the last reversal, from wrong reading type to the final inked, right reading printed page.
started on the linotype machine upstairs, and it ends up here.
And the presses keep rolling through the night. This is goodbye. Generations of linotype operators have often run their fingers down the first 2 rows of keys, releasing mats that read Etaoin Shrdlu. This fills out lines that start with keyboard errors. The last bad line is discarded at the end of the story. Motor off. A last touch of familiar brass mats. Light out for good. It is the end of the age of hot type mechanical printing. And the beginning of the new, the computerized cold type, the electronic. These seasoned printers, retrained, have made the transition from the old to the new.
The electronic images of letters that I have just set on this video display screen, I'll now send to the computer,
where it is processed, stored, and brought back when required for corrections. Back to the computer. When needed, a touch of a key returns it to the editor. It is then changed to the desired column width, style, size of type, and hyphenation, followed by further keyboarding of headlines and bylines. Then to one of 5 photo typesetters, each an electronic mirror. Inside, a web of components and wiring does the work of 140 linotypes, generating a vast array of electronic type images on a concealed cathode ray tube. These images are contacted onto photosensitive paper at 1,000 lines a minute. Emerging from the darkroom, the photosensitized paper has now been transformed by a developing machine into photographic cold type, ready for full-page paste up. This productivity leap from 14 to 1,000 lines a minute is made possible several floors above by a battery of computers. These units contain magnetized memory disks and electronic digital systems, which store and process all the data sent from below. Switches and buttons, at a touch, bring us into an ever-advancing world of automation, computerization, and programmed electron flow. Humidity and temperature, monitored and controlled around the clock, are critical. These cabinets hold layered packs of yellow magnetic disks and others like this. The disks, in operation, spin at 140 miles an hour. More than 8 million words can be stored and sent back by each disk pack. And cold type on paper keeps on flowing. Photo technology has conquered hot metal. The typeset paper is cut, waxed on the back for adhesion, and pasted up on full-page boards on these tables.
That'll bring the type down to here.
It's going to be a new type here.
Yes,
That's
right.
going to go deeper?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Core. Right, that's holding it. Thank you, Jim. Right.
From obituaries to sports, to the worlds of business, entertainment, real estate, classified and display advertising, and of course, the news. These color patches will soon be replaced by headlines. They are now being cut to exact size. No more molten lead. He has made it from hot type makeup to cold type paste up. The last headline in place, ready to go. Page 1 will now be transferred electronically through impulses from this laser scanner machine to the plate room underground. In a moment, the laser beam within will scan the pasted up page. This will result in 14-ounce flexible plastic plates made and used down below in the press room. Page after page will be run off on the high-speed rotary presses as before and folded into the finished paper. But despite automation, computerization, and the continuing advances of electronics, the central factor is still the work of the human brain, the work of human eyes, and the work of human hands. In creating that powerful element of communication, the printed word.
Well, that was epic. Thank you, Kevin and Nathan, for donating via the Super Thanks button. That's one way you can support us for showing things like this. The takeaway from this is just think about how many human eyes looked at every single line of what was printed and compare that to now. Like, how many people are looking at something before it is made public and published? You know, there's countless people that were looking and for editorial purposes, for spelling, for factual information, and that's not even there now. And, you know, that last little bit of the human communication, if we talk about AI, which will just take little blips of facts and then spit out something, you know, is there any human interaction with that where someone is editorially looking at the content? Certainly with comments, no. I would say that comments on news sites have been horrible, really, really bad, because they don't have editorial oversight. We don't have a whole lot of editorial oversight here on the comments on our streaming show, but we do try to keep it reined in. And I think that we've all benefited from that. We have cultivated a wonderful community of people who are like-minded and share an interest in these old films. And that's editorial oversight. So that's Rick Kay, that's myself, and there's others who are just looking and making sure that all the comments are, we're not picking on each other. We're all kind of staying on topic, etc. So, yeah, I think I'm nervous. I'm nervous for the future of communication because there's no human oversight in some of this information. So, anyways, get off my soapbox. But thanks for tuning in today. One way that you can help us is by using your human hands on your keyboard or on your mouse and hit the thumbs up button or the like button. Also, if you haven't subscribed, now's a great time to do it. You can also support us with the ko-fi.com/avgeeks or patreon.com/avgeeks. That will help pay rent on some storage units that we have, etc. Or help us buy some inkjet cartridges, which is what I have to do today. So thanks so much for tuning in. Everybody have a great weekend, because I realize today actually is Friday, and we will see you on Monday. Everybody take care. We will see you soon.